Hey everyone, welcome to the Tech Grinder podcast, where we are breaking new ground and pushing past the status quo when it comes to the startup ecosystem. But before we get started, the podcast has been created for entertainment and educational purposes only, and nothing in the content should be taken as investment advice. To see the full disclaimer, go to www.techgrinder.com. That's www.techgrinder.com. So let's get started, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Okay, so let's get into it. As the frenzy and generative AI race continue to unfold, it is pretty hard to ask the question, what about job creation? Ultimately, that is one of the big questions going forward. But it is pretty easy to get an idea of what the future is going to look like by simply just looking at the job market today, which it is heartbreaking to say is a bit discombobulated and feels like that is being polite. Other folks might not describe it quite as politely as us. Starting in 2022 and moving into 2023, tech layoffs have been intense, and the current job market is definitely at a low point. Again, that is being polite. But looking at the job market at a low point is important because when and if it changes, it will be good to look back at this time period to try and avoid what got us here. So how do we push past the status quo with a glass half full mindset and figure out how to have real, meaningful job creation? So to move forward, we believe it is important to point out right from the start that we have to take a closer look at the venture capital model. It seems very important to point out that a lot of businesses that have the ability to create jobs might not fit into the venture capital model. In a world that seems to be hyper-focused and always infatuated with the venture capital model, it is important to point out that small and medium-sized enterprises SMEs over the last 25 years have created more jobs than venture-backed companies, and the number is significantly higher. But here at the Tech Grinder podcast, we are not trying to be the expert, especially when it comes to information, but we are enthusiastic and hope to inspire people on a topic like this and hope they will move forward with their own research. So if we look to the future, it is hard to predict, and a lot of factors could play a part in whether SMEs will continue to create more jobs than venture-backed companies. But for us, we just want to see job creation because we know it is so important for the well-being of humanity. But we are well aware that there are folks out there that do not see it that way and are interested in creating companies with very high valuations with the smallest headcount possible. But for now, let's get our feet back on the ground. So in a world that is fascinated and wants to talk about generative AI, how could generative AI help with job creation? Well, again, with an extremely glass half full mindset, we believe it can. These large language models, LLMs, are packed with so much educational information and could speed up the education process and enable companies to launch faster, no matter which model they fall under. Also, they can provide a steady source of educational information to help companies grow. We feel that this is very positive for creating companies and job creation in general. This is a very interesting time period in history. It is fascinating what is happening with generative AI. But it is also a bit scary because jobs are such an important part of our well-being as human beings. This is why a continued conversation is so important in relation to job creation. As the conversation continues to roll on in relation to generative AI, maybe the conversation of job creation should straddle right alongside it, so job creation is at the forefront of the narrative and is top of mind for human beings. The interesting thing about this time period is that yes, generative AI is here, But the overall scope of AI is much broader and encompasses much more than generative capabilities. Advancements in AI include natural language processing, machine learning, robotics, computer vision, and more. But as the advancements in AI continue to unfold, we feel it is so important to keep job creation in the narrative. We are still in the early days of AI, and some of our fears of what the future may bring are not here yet. So as AI continues and begins to roll out, if we keep job creation top of mind for human beings, this could be a driving force in changing the outcome. But if we become complacent and do not foster the creation of new businesses, the outcome could be different. As we begin to come to a close of this episode, we hope you share our enthusiasm in relation to job creation and business creation in general. We hope that job creation and AI will be in the narrative together going forward, so there will be extremely positive outcomes in relation to the future of work. We hope you like this episode titled Job Creation in a World Fascinated with Generative AI. Until next time, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Tech Grinder podcast. If you'd like to continue the conversation, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time.